Hi guys, welcome to my video. Today we'll be looking at the most successful countries at the Best International Feature Film Academy Award. If you're new to my channel, I review the best of world cinema and follow the race for Best International Feature Film Oscar, from countries selecting their films to the final winner. In this video, I'm going to count down the top 15 most successful countries in the Oscar category in recent times. This will show which countries are the most consistent in producing quality films for the Oscars, as well as play the Oscar game. Now, obviously, countries can produce a brilliant film one year and then not submit a film for a number of years. So it's not always the case that these countries will inevitably win the award. However, it shows they're consistent and they have momentum in the category. I've devised a methodology and ranked each country over the last 10 years. So if a country has had an Oscar win in the category, I've given them 4 points. For each nominated film, I've given them 3 points. For each shortlisted film, I've given them 2 points. And for each submitted film, including those that have been withdrawn or disqualified, I have given 1 point. The purpose of this ranking is to reward those who have won, but also reward consistency. Now, inevitably, there will be flaws in this methodology because there is not a perfect methodology for this. However, it gives us insight who has momentum. And I will also, in the rundown, be looking at how success has happened over the more recent time, say in the last 5 years, but also those countries that success was 6 to 10 years ago, and how this ranking table may change over time. And at some point, I'll be doing an all-time table to look at the big hitters of the Oscars. So let's roll and count down the top 15 countries at the Oscars in the last 10 years. So at number 15 is Argentina with 14 points. So in the last 10 years, Argentina have submitted every year and have had 2 nominations, Wild Tales and Argentina 1985. Wild Tales were 10 years ago, so they are threatened dropping in the table if they don't match the success at the next Oscars. Judging from the results from Cannes, Argentina have a potential submission in Simon of the Mountain, which won awards, so could be a potential contender to be at least shortlisted for the award. At number 14 is Belgium, also with 14 points. They had a nomination in 2022 with Lucas Dons Close, and 2 films that were shortlisted, 2021's Playground and 2015's A Brand New Testament. Belgium's points in this ranking system have come very recently predominantly, so suggest they are on a little bit of a trajectory. There is a front runner to be Belgium's submission, which is Julia Keeps Quiet, which won a couple of awards in Cannes, and could perhaps potentially add to the points tally of Belgium in the last 10 years. Now, at number 13 is one of the big hitters of the Oscar category and is surprisingly low, which is Italy, also with 14 points. Over the last 10 years, Italy's only successes have been 2 nominations in the last 3 years. So 2023's Io Capitano, which was nominated at the last awards, as well as 2 years ago, The Hand of God, which was Pablo Sorrentino's film submission. These 2 nominations in 3 years suggest Italy are now back in the contention to be regular nominations of the awards category. However, we wait and see to which out of the many titles that Italy produces every year, which could be their competition for the next awards. At number 12 is Russia with 15 points. Until fairly recently, Russia have submitted really high quality submissions. Andrei Zavyagintsev has had 2 nominations with Loveless and Leviathan, which are 2 of my favourite films of those particular years. They've also had 3 really strong shortlisted films in the last 10 years, including 2020's Dear Comrades, 2019's Beanpole, which was my favourite film of that year, and 2016's Paradise. Surprisingly, these films have tended to be critical of the Putin regime. However, with the invasion of Ukraine itself, Russia have been boycotted by the West and therefore no longer submit for the Oscars. So inevitably in future years, unless the geopolitical situation changes, I don't really see Russia submitting, and they're going to fall down the table. At number 11 is Iran with 15 points. The main point scorer for Iran has been Asghar Farhadi's with their win in 2016 for The Salesman, and 2021's A Hero, which got a nomination. They have also had a shortlisted film, Sun Children, in 2020. There's certainly been a clampdown of artistic expression in Iran, as we saw with the Double Can winning the Seed of the Sacred Fig at this year's Cannes Awards. However, I still see Iran submitting films, but they may not necessarily be the caliber or as much in contention as some of the previous Iranian cinema of recent years. At number 10 is South Korea with 15 points as well. South Korea earned their very first shortlisted film in 2018 with Burning, which is a bit of a surprise considering the history and depth of cinema from South Korea. However, in 2020, Parasite became the first non-English language film to win the Best Picture Oscar, as well as Best Scriptwriter, Best Director, and Best International Feature Film. In addition to this, they also had 2022's Decision to Leave, which got a shortlisting. So pretty much in the last 6 years, South Korea have had 3 films that have got to at least the shortlisting phase. And I imagine with the cultural significance that South Korea has become in Western society and the quality of cinema coming out of South Korea, I think they're going to have more success and maintain themselves in the top 10 countries at the Oscars. At number 9 is one of the big hitters of world cinema, that is Spain. Within the last 5 years, they've had 2 nominations, including the last awards for Society of the Snow, as well as 2019's Pain and Glory by Pedro Almodovar. They've also had 1 shortlist in 2021 for The Good Boss, which I really didn't like. However, it shows that Spain can put forward a decent film in the Oscars, and the fact that they've had success in the last 5 years suggests they are on the trajectory to continue this in the Oscar race. At number 8 is Hungary, who have a total of 16 points. Their points have predominantly come from Son of Saul, which won in 2015 and is a harrowing exploration of the Holocaust. In 2017, they also got a nomination for the exceptional On Body and Soul, which was one of my favourites of that year. And in 2019, they had a shortlisted film, Those Who Remained. Despite these successes, it does feel that Hungary haven't had much in the last 5 years, so perhaps they're not on a particular trajectory and really need that sort of Oscar-worthy or art house classic to push them back up in the league. At number 7 is another powerhouse and home to Ingmar Bergman, Sweden, who also wants 16 points. Quite like Hungary, they've only had 1 film progress to the shortlisting phase in the last 5 years, which was Cairo Conspiracy or The Boy from Heaven. In addition, Sweden have had a nomination with A Man Called Ove, as well as huge contribution for Rusland Östlund, who has had a nomination with The Square, as well as shortlisting with Force Majeure. With no big awards contender coming out of Sweden yet, and Östlund, the big director from Sweden, choosing to do English language orientated cinema, I've yet to see anything that Sweden could produce which could challenge to be on the shortlist yet, but we will wait and see for this year. At number 6 is the big hitter and the most successful country at the Oscars, with 17 points, is France. Despite all their Oscar success and the history of cinema in France, the country has not won the Oscar since 1991. Part of the problem France has is the depth of films available to submit, which often means the selection committee choose the wrong one. There is always high quality and there's always consistency in the French submission. Within the last 10 years, France has submitted Les Miserables and Mustang, which have been both great films. In addition, they've had films shortlisted, including The Taste of Things, Saint-Omer, and The Two of Us, which have all been really great films. Of course, there have been selection controversies, so Anatomy of a Fall probably should have been France's submission because it probably would have ended up winning, and as well as they often choosing non-Oscar baity films, so the Palme d'Or winning Titan was submitted for France, but it was body horror. Horror does terrible at the Oscars. It was never going to succeed. And it was, although a really strong entry, it was not strong in terms of what the competition is looking for. At number 5 is Mexico with 17 points. Mexico won the Oscar for the first time in 2017 with Roma, which is a Netflix original release. However, it's within the last 4 years, Mexico have had 4 shortlisted films, including I'm No Longer Here, Prayers for the Stolen, Bardo, and Totem. And it really seems like they are almost automatically shortlisted for whatever they produce because the quality is so good. Now at number 4 is another big hitter, and that is Japan, who also have 17 points. And it was 2021's Drive My Car, which won the Oscar as being their main point scorer. They've also had nominations in the last awards for Perfect Days and 2018 Shoplifters. All their success has been in the last 6 years, which suggests they are on a bit of a roll and will continue to be the strongest non-European nation in the awards category. They are a country with a really strong history and a number of great auteur directors, such as Hamaguchi, who, if they produce a film, will tend to do extremely well. Now, at number 3 is Poland with 19 points. Their only Oscar win came in 2014 with Ida, one of my favourite films. And they've also had nominations for Corpus Christi in 2019, 2022 for EO, and 2018, which is my favourite film of all time, Cold War. While they seem to be getting nominations fairly regularly, the fact Ida is dropping off suggests that their form is not quite on a trajectory and they're probably levelling out. And unless they have a big film coming in the next couple of years, they could drop down the league table. Now, with a bit of a points jump, is number 2, which is Denmark with 22 points. There's only been 3 years in the last 10 years that Denmark have not got to at least the shortlisting phase of the Oscars. It won in 2020 for another round. Wasn't my favourite nomination, but a decent film. It was nominated in 2021 for the multi-nominated Flea, 2016 Land of Mine, a post-war fascinating piece of cinema, and 2015 A War. Denmark also received shortlisted films for last year's The Promised Land, 2022's Holy Spider, and 2018 The Guilty, which was since made into an English language version. In the last 4 years, Denmark continuously progressed to at least the shortlisting phase, which shows that they've got a lot of momentum in the category and their investment in cinema is really paying off. And now we reach the number 1 country at the Oscars, which is Germany, who also have 22 points. They are number 1 in part due to 2022's winner, All Quiet on the Western Front. Not my favourite film that year, but I understand its technical brilliance. They've also had nominations in 2023's The Teacher Lounge, 2018 Never Look Away, 2016 Tony Erdmann, which probably should have won that year. Shortlisted films include I'm Your Man in 2021, In the Fade in 2017, and Labyrinth of Lies in 2015. It is quite astonishing how well both Germany and Denmark have done in the last 10 years. Both countries have won the award. Both countries have had at least 7 years of at least getting to the shortlisting phase. So if you want to look at the 2 powerhouses of cinema that are doing really well in the Oscar category, you have to look at Denmark and you have to look at Germany. So whatever is submitted this coming year, Denmark and Germany are probably the 2 countries to look out for, because even if they don't produce the best of films, they are likely to do well based on the last 10 years. If you're interested in world cinema and want to follow the race for Best International Feature Film, please do subscribe to my channel for more videos.